And now for the Black Firehouse Podcast, the only Ghostbusters podcast that discusses props, costumes, sets, and special effects, with your hosts, Austin Young and Dan Harshman.
You know, it's just occurred to me we really haven't had a completely successful test of this equipment.
I blame myself.
So do I. Now let's get ready. Switch me on.
You know, I'm still not tired of that new proton pack sound.
No, it's great.
It's so good. Like, I remember being worried, like, what are they going to mess with for Ghostbusters Afterlife? And that was one of those things that I didn't know if I would like it or not. And every single time I hear it, I'm just like, can we go back and re-edit the first two films with the better sound effects?
Somebody will put out a fan edit that's just that. That's the only difference in the whole movie is they swapped out the sound for the proton pack starting for the Afterlife version.
I mean, I'd actually be okay with that.
Me too.
So, I guess hello everybody on the internet. This is your beloved hosts of the the Black Firehouse podcast, Dan Harshman, and of course my partner in crime,
Austin Young.
How are we doing today, Austin?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing just peachy. I'm really excited about the guest that we have today. We're going to bring him on in just a moment. Of course, the big exciting news. Hey, Ghostbuster fans went like a total week without embarrassing themselves, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, next week is the release of the Ghostbusters Ultimate Collection, which includes Ghostbusters 1, 2, Afterlife, big box set, reprinting of the Making Ghostbusters book.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Is there anything in that set that you're particularly excited about?
I mean, the Ghostbusters 2 deleted scenes are the first thing. I mean, immediately, that disc is getting thrown in, and I'm going through those because it's all the deleted scenes. I'm hoping that we thought we're going to be on the last set that came out when they said that they had Ghostbusters deleted scenes that they'd uncovered, and it was like all the really boring scenes that we didn't really even know about.
And it's not like the Elgato, the cat scene?
It's fine. It's just, I wanted to see Lewis trying to capture Slimer with KFC as bait,
Yeah, they didn't have a very good rendition of it. I mean, me personally, though, I am most excited about the running edit of Ghostbusters. For the test audience edit, the one with alternate takes and scenes and special effects.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be like watching a completely new version of Ghostbusters, which I'm really, really jazzed about. Which
is going to be bizarre. I mean, it's so ingrained in everybody's mind at this point, Like,
yeah,
it's like even the TV edit still throws me for a loop when I see it,
Wallywick and everything.
Yes.
I'm mostly hoping that this means I'll finally be able to find when the proton pack sounds were just that like obnoxious electrical hum.
Yeah.
When they fired. I would love to capture that sound, and maybe somebody will be able to do that once the new one comes on. Anything else Ghostbusters prop related news that you can think of? Anything that you've seen, maybe that I've missed?
Nothing comes to mind. No.
Nothing comes to mind. Well, then let's move on. Let's introduce our guest tonight. We are super honored. Austin, I did last week's, which means you get to introduce him.
Oh boy.
This week.
This is I mean, it's a man that needs no introduction. It's Paranorman himself, Norm Gagnon. And if you don't know who Norm is, you're about to get a history lesson.
Oh yeah. Norm, can you hear us okay, bud?
Oh yeah, I hear you well. And Austin, Dan, thank you for having me. It's great.
We are so excited to have you on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Norm, before we talk about Ghostbusters and your part in Ghostbusters, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you come from? What makes Norm Paranorman?
Well, let's go way back. As Dan Aykroyd, I was raised in Canada, so you may probably pick up a slight accent. So, and then we, back in 1970, we moved to Maryland and became an American citizen. So, now, what do I do? Just a quick little tidbit. Um, on the backpack, on the top part of the backpack, there's like a little box with a crank knob, and that is known as the Raytheon knob. And I've just happened to be working for Raytheon Technologies, so that's just a little tidbit. Um,
There you go.
but stepping back in 1984, when the movie came out, Ghostbusters, it just blew my mind. And I was watching this film with my friend Londo Massey, which he portrays Egon in. At that time, we were just two people, and we just like, we have to build one of those things. We have nothing to go on, except, I believe, shortly after, in 1985, Life magazine came out with the front cover of the three actors leaning against the stairwell, and the backpack was there. So they said, "Oh, we have to get the issue." We cut it out. That's the only thing we had to work with. Now, of course, we went to see the movie about 40 times, and I was like frantically sketching with a pad and pencil. Okay, there's a more detail. There's a hose. And we're freaking out. And then I said, I don't want to bother with drawing. I want to see the movie. So we just like went back and forth and went crazy on this. So we finally built two prototype backpacks that sort of look like what we were imagine what they were using in this film. And I myself was using a camping backpack type framework, and I snuck into my friend's neighbor's house, and they had a lawnmower in the garage, and I ripped that plastic part that covers the whole whatever, the motor, the engine, the oil, and it happened to have that teardrop shape and was plastic. Let's say, okay, now I've got that part. We went to Radio Shack when they were in business, picked up some project boxes, 2x4s. Home Depot was a good place to pick up little doohickeys and parts, and it would just slap everything together. And we went around during, then there were science fiction conventions. We attended local parades in Washington, D.C. And just a quick, we were discovered by producers in Sony Pictures, and they noticed us and said, "Hey, you know what? How would you guys like to be in one of our movies?" It's called St. Elmo's Fire, and they were in process of filming in Georgetown. And said, all you got to do is just show up, and we're going to have a Halloween scene, and you guys are going to be running around in the background. And Sansoni did Ghostbusters at the time. So I said, oh, yeah, cool. We showed up around 8 o'clock at night. Producers, they were setting up the lights, and all of a sudden the sky opened up. It rained and pouring rain and rain and rain and rain. And I said, oh, no. And then someone knocked on the window, went, guys, he did the cutthroat symbol. Said, we skipped a shot. It's too much rain. We have to pack and leave and go to Hollywood. So I said, we're so close. So that was our first, introduction into the going out.
That was the introduction. That's where it started.
Exactly,
that's where the first Norm pack came from. That's where the love ignited. That's awesome. And so you ended up missing out on being in St. Elmo's Fire, but you came
and you see
pretty
the
darn
stars.
close.
Exactly. Yeah, that would have been pretty cool,
Man.
to have us in the background running. But
That would have been awesome. That's a shame. So our next segment that we're going to do, Norm, it's what's on our workbench, and I know you have a special treat because you've told me about this a few times, so we're going to talk about that. Austin, before we move on, did you have any other questions, or you ready to get this machine going, bud?
Let's get this over with so we can get to the good stuff.
What is that thing you're doing?
It's technical. It's one of our little toys.
The proton pack is not a toy.
I guess that's right.
All right, Austin, rush through it. What's on your workbench, man?
I have no idea what they're called, but I just bought 2 bundt cake pans and 2 potato mashers because in Phoebe's room in Afterlife, she has these really weird, strange devices that are mounted to tripods that are built from bundt cake pans and potato mashers, and I am obsessed with them, and I love the ties to Ghostbusters 2 with equipment being created from potato mashers. And, I spent a couple of hours looking for the right bundt cake pan.
Those
I found it.
What are they, Cud Meters 2.0?
I guess. I don't know. She's got one on either side of her room, and they look weird and funky and very Ghostbusters. So I figured that'd be simple enough to make.
Now, is this the same bundt cake pan device that's also in the farmhouse?
No, I'm not aware of one that's in the farmhouse.
So I guess the big photo running around right now is the picture of the Celebrity Machines Ecto 1A plate that is in the background of the farmhouse, and there is a device that looks like maybe a satellite dish next to it that is definitely also made out of a bundt cake pan. I didn't know if that's the same device or not.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Oh,
These are much smaller.
Smaller bundt cake pans.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you are very excited about your bundt
I'm
cake.
very excited about my strange esoteric background props.
Norm, how about you, man? What are you working on over there?
Working on. Could you be more specific? I've got so many projects going on.
What's your favorite project that you're working on right now? It can be Ghostbusters related, not Ghostbusters related. I mean, you've been in the hobby longer than a lot of the people that I know, building replicas and things like that. So I assume.
So you're saying I'm old?
You're still doing it. Oh, I'm saying you're ancient, man, but that's neither here nor there.
You are seasoned.
There you go. I like
seasoned,
that.
well seasoned.
Well, one of my latest proton pack that I built, it was using I'm still using my plans, which came out in my latest drawings, came out in 2001. That was the latest revision, and I'm still using them as a guide, and they work for me. Going back to the company I work for, they have a lot of posters and signage and stuff like that. And I picked up something that they were getting rid of. It was a frame, a huge frame, something about the security, be aware that don't speak to strangers and something like that. So
loose lips sink ships.
Exactly. And I took it apart because it wouldn't fit into a trash bin. And all of a sudden, in the back of this frame, there was a huge sheet of styrene plastic, about maybe an eighth of an inch thick. And I said, whoa! That
score.
Exactly. That motivated me to say, I've got to build another pack. I've got all... Styrene plastic is so darn expensive these days, and go in a hobby shop, they charge too much. So the sheet was about 4 by 3, and that was enough for me to cut, crack, pop it open. So anyway, so that was I would say last spring totally from scratch. I would say 95% of the backpack was scratch built. Of course, the Alice back I purchased, the crank knob, and there's a lot of, and I'm still, I don't know, there's a lot of fabricators out there that probably still looked at my plan. I noticed that the gum out fuel system bottle that I used originally to make the handles on the proton gun, they don't make the bottle anymore. They shrunk it down into a tiny, tiny little, the size of a pencil. It's probably super concentrated now. So that's just a FYI. You cannot find them in the. But what I did is I used, I think it was either a Windex or 409 spray handle that had a nice little grip. So I used that, cut it, and shaped it, and made a resin mold, silicone mold actually. So where am I going? And then I displayed my backpack at Raytheon, where my office is, and all these engineers and scientists walking by, and goes, "Whoa, that's a backpack from Ghostbusters." It's good. Yep. And then I decided to add. I'm sorry, I keep turning my back. I should be talking to the microphone. I added.
No, we can hear you just fine.
I added a little canister of positively charged slime on the back, on the side. So I've got a particle and I can flick another switch and imagine if you could have the sliming someone so they can have a mood change. And looking
That's
at
awesome.
Adam Savage, a couple of episodes, he had a Egon's backpack from the film, and I was looking at it intensively, and I picked up a lot of details, and I added the yellow mesh on the cord, the little power switch underneath the power cell, and what else? And all these little details I added just because I was bored and I thought it looked cool. So, and my ghost trap, what I added on the other side is it's like an extension swivel arm they use on TVs, monitors on desk that you can swivel, move, tilt. I took it apart, used the arm, and then I could utilize the ghost trap and just hook it on the side. So I don't have to have it dangled on my belt, and it's held there by magnets. So I just pull it out, pop it, throw it on the ground, press the pedal, and it works. So
That's cool.
and these days, back about a decade ago, I used to make proton packs custom for people, and I sold about 25, maybe in a range of 30 custom proton pack for collectors and whatnot. That
I remember that
includes-
website. I had it favorited and continued would always try and see if I could find a scheme in which I could save enough up to buy one of those proton packs.
But now everybody's making them. There's the fiberglass pull version, and of course, 3D printers version came out. The Hasbro Spangler pack came out. They're awesome looking. I'm thinking they're in the range of 300, 350. So
Yeah.
I don't make them anymore. I'm going to keep my old pack. It just has a souvenir, and it weighs a hell of a lot.
There you go.
But
Oh yeah.
so that's my current project.
Right on. So I guess I wish my workbench was exciting as you guys. I'm currently working with Cole Funseth on getting the correct angle on the bevel for acrylic tubes on the semi-hero wands, and I think we've narrowed it down to like 60 or 61 degrees. I mean, Cole's doing all the heavy lifting.
Wow.
He's the guy that's able to kind of plug it into his computer and pull out the math. I'm over here with a purple clear plastic protractor, holding it up against photos, trying to see if I can find the angle. And then Cole comes out of the woodwork and everything's like digitized and has, AutoCAD measurements and stuff around it. And I'm just like, yeah, what you said. And he's like, well, I just wanted to make sure you concurred. And I'm looking at my little purple protractor. I'm like, yeah, I concur. You're on the ball there. So, just kind of trying to work on those projects that are sitting on the back burner. I'd love to be able to kind of clear off the project bench.
That's an impossible task, dude.
It's an impossible task, but I at least like to finish some of the big ones. So, my main goals are the IDW pack and my Ghostbusters 1 superhero, which of course is having to be built back basically from the ground up. But, it's all right. It's I got some more parts in from AJ, and as always, super, super high quality parts. And it just reminds me how much patience. And Norm, you understand this. I mean, from back in the day, not everything was instantaneous. If you weren't going to a hardware store to find your own parts, your own Greeblies, if you were waiting on somebody to make something, or, waiting on somebody that found a cache of Clippard valves and they were going to send them out, sometimes it took some time. So, it's definitely a hobby and patience. But that's what's on our workbench. I think we're gonna keep diving on into this. We're gonna get into our main topic, which is basically Ghostbusters props, the fandom history lesson with our guest Norm. And here we go.
Listen. You smell something?
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
I collect spores, molds, and fungus.
Why?
All right, Austin, you're kicking this one off, man. I can't let you sit on the sidelines for this interview. I know you're as excited as I am.
Where do you start? That's the problem. I guess somewhere we should start is, if my memory is correct, Norm, you actually coined the term ghost head, correct?
Yes, and I'm looking at my notes. In July 3, 1996, a little bit before that, I was looking around through the internet for a site that more of a message board dealing with Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters fans. So I came up with a site that is called the GB homepage, and the webmaster was Bill Emco, and that's in February 1996. And we went back and forth and talking about it, and I suggested, hey, let's add some photographs and all of that to his site, and he did. And eventually, I got inspired to design real sketches of the backpack. I said, you know what, people will need to know what's on the backpack and the gadgets, and also we need to maybe eventually come up with drawings so the fans and the prop builders out there would fabricate packs. And in 2001, I'm jumping ahead too fast. And then I shot him an email and said, you know what, we should have a real strong community dealing with the movies. And I think us ghost heads should get together and really start some type of club and prop building and selling merchandise. And he goes, wow, ghost head, that's really cool. Let's keep that. And so that was in July 3, 1996. Now,
that's awesome.
I know there's in 2014, I may be off, there's a production company that came out with a movie called Ghost Heads, and
Yes, that was Brendan Martins came out with a documentary in 2016.
16.
Maybe it was 17, called Ghost Heads. And Brendan, like Austin and I, were also he was a longtime message board user. I'm unsure if Brendan was there in the days of the Ghostbusters homepage, but I know I joined the Ghostbusters homepage in '97 because I lied about my age to get on, and and I know Austin was also part of the homepage as well.
Well,
But yeah,
actually,
so
I didn't join the community until after that had shut down, and it was just
really,
kind of an
I thought
archive.
you were on there.
No, I wasn't. I just missed it. I was
Oh, man, I
around
need a new
for.
co-host.
All right. No, I was around for GB
Ghostbusters
Central.
Net.
GB Central before it became
Okay.
Ghostbusters.net. So that was probably the earliest fan site that I got into. Because we didn't get the internet until around '99, like middle of '99, and I think the homepage shut down in what, '98, late '97, early '98, something like that.
Something like that. I didn't get to experience it long, which I remember being sad about. But so Norm, even though the show is supposed to be about props, I mean, like when one of the quintessential, saints of the Ghostbusters replica community wants to talk about whatever he wants to talk about. So what were your thoughts on Ghost Heads? Did you see it, like when it came out?
I missed it, and I found out through internet search that they were in almost post production on the documentary. Excuse me. And I contacted someone there, and I said, "Hey, I'm just wondering, you guys did find out who came up with the term ghost heads?" And they said, "Oh no, we didn't bother to." I said, "Oh, okay. I'm just wondering." So anyway, but just a quick note. Stepping back in 1999, you mentioned AJ. We talking about AJ Quick, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. When I came out with my first draft of Proton Pack drawings, a whole group of us, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7, decided to get together and say, "Hey, let's name the parts." So I came up. I was about to show you, but the camera's not on. So I came up with a few names: synchronous generator, infilter, cyclotron, and all of that. So, and what's cool?
That is a list I would love to share.
Well,
if we can get a copy of that to share to the Black Firehouse, to like, it's always been known that it was a community project naming the parts of the Proton Pack.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anywhere, Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, where it's documented. I mean,
Norm's got it on his plans that somewhere. I believe it's the miscellaneous notes page or something on the 2001 revision that, it lists off some names of the people in the community that kind of helped come up with the names, like CPU 64.
Exactly.
Right.
You know what? I've got a copy. It's still floating out there. It's from the www.gbfans.com wiki Proton Pack parts names. Ooh. So it's still there, and it shows a little bit of history on top. The name of the ghost heads who came up with the parts name, and that was back in 1999. And what's cool about this, and even Adam Savage, in one of his episodes, he was talking about. He goes, "Okay, now he he loves to do a lot of research. He's got a lot of sketchbooks, photographs, and he actually mentioned a couple of the part names. Okay, now I'm going to be working on the cyclotron, and today we're going to paint this and that, and he gets so excited. And I get excited listening him get excited. So that's cool that he's actually using the part names that was created back then. So,
well, that's something I actually wanted to bring up, is that the part names that you guys came up with are now technically canon in the Ghostbusters universe. They don't mention any by name in Ghostbusters Afterlife, but there is a shot in the movie when Callie is down in the underground lab and she picks up a photograph of herself and she looks at it. She sets it back down on the workbench, and when she sets it back down, it's a kind of a close-up shot of the workbench, and down in the very far right-hand corner, there is a proton pack sketch with little indicators pointing to all the different parts, and it has all of those parts written down.
wow,
Cyclotron,
really?
power cell.
I missed that.
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
It's really cool.
That
When
is-
I first caught it, I was so excited because,
That's
you know, I mean, you even listen to behind the scenes interviews with Jason Reitman and stuff, and they all refer to the pack, you know, parts with the names that you guys came up with.
that is so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I think it's one of the most important contributions to the community, to be honest. I mean, like,
Absolutely.
otherwise, what are we looking at? You know,
Yeah.
we would still be calling, you know, well, the big circle thing on
Yeah.
on the bottom.
The
You
big
know,
circle with the 4 circles.
There you
It
go.
was almost a Rosetta. Yeah, it was almost like a Rosetta Stone for the
Mhm.
community to be able to collectively say, "Hey, this is this," and you know, even beyond mentions in the movie, I know Troy Benjamin. I believe he had a hand in the Ghostbusters Sears book, in which a lot of those names on the
Yeah.
proton pack are utilized, which I believe Sony considered that a canon source of
Yeah.
information. I'm not sure, but that was my understanding of it.
Yeah, it's really cool that, you know, it's official now. Like, after all these years, we can say, you know, it's official.
That's cool. Hey, one quick question. You guys ever seen the Return of the Ghostbusters? And it's by
Oh, yeah.
Hank Braxton in 2007.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
I just a little bit of information. The Next Generation pack, I built that for the film. Though I don't know if you recall it. It was more of it was smaller and had a the cyclotron was more orange,
Mhm.
triangular, and then it shot a beam that was so powerful. So
Yeah, I remember that being sort of a big deal when that film came out. That, you know, they kind of went around. That was a selling point. You know, Norm Gagnon designed the new pack in the film, and I even remember them talking about how the you know, the proton gun or whatever was wrist mounted, like the original concept
yeah,
for the original film.
I still have the sketches of pre-production sketches on how my pack was supposed to look like. So
Yeah,
maybe I should send that to Dan, and I'll send you a
Yeah.
whole bunch of pictures and stuff like that. So, I mean,
that'd be really cool.
Jason,
Yeah, so I promised Norm. I'm sorry, Norm.
No,
I don't
go
mean to
ahead.
interrupt you. I did promise him that he's going to send us some photos of the current pack that he's working on, and any sketches and stuff. I just thought that'd be a real hoot to share to the page.
Oh, yeah,
for people kind
absolutely.
of, you know, wanting to know where we came from. So that's what we're touching on here, you know. So the whole ethos behind this particular cast is the deep dives into the equipment, but I'm a firm believer of, you know, understanding and respecting where we came from as a community. So you guys were naming the pack parts, and now when you named the pack parts, was this before or after you started doing your drawings for, you know, the Norm version 1 plans?
I think it was right in the middle. I released some sketches, drawings, which were pretty bad, And I would say in 2000, early 2000, we on the message board they say, come on, we name the parts because, like you said, the cyclotron, the little circular thingy with the little knob and the thing is on the upper. People said, what the heck are you talking about? So we had I'm looking at the parts page, and the backpack that was utilized was from Life magazine, the cover of 1984.
Yeah.
And we just go ahead, you guys just throw a whole bunch of names out there, and we'll see what we can use. And I think Bill Limco did. I said, okay, let's use this and this and this since he was a webmaster. And then, I'm just stepping back with Jason when they interviewed him during the production or after, and even Adam interviewed him. He said, once you have someone develop a film, you have the props, the sets, and everything. It's personal to them, but once the film is released, it belongs to the people out there, the viewers, the fans. And it's pretty much the same with the parts and ghost heads. And when I see that, people say, hey, I'm going to go. I think they had one time an online magazine about Ghost Head of the Month. I don't know who came up with that. I think it was someone in UK. But I see that. I say, oh, that's cool. You're using it. But I don't see that as, hey, it's me. No, it's us. It's the fans. So that's how I feel about all of that. And I still get excited looking at my plans. I love building things and fabricating things from scratch. So I get excited still. I get a little emotional here. No, I just get a dry throat. But
no, I mean that's kind of why we're all here. I mean, that's the whole point of this podcast. We love building things, and there's so many people in the community that have taken it to this obsessive level of scrutinizing every detail and every aspect of the props and trying to find the exact parts and exact measurements, and it's just blown up into this huge thing. I mean, thousands and thousands of people all over the world are into this now, in 2022. And it's so crazy to think how it all just kind of started with a few guys, throwing stuff together in their garage back in the day,
Yeah.
So speaking of a few guys throwing stuff together in their garage, Norm, how much time do you think you spent in places like Home Depot and Radio Shack or even dollar stores trying to find greeblies that fit the bill for parts on your Proton pack?
Well, at first, when I was doing one element that I forgot to add, during my 2001 revision, my last revision of the packs, what motivated me to complete as accurate as I possibly could design, I went to, Dan, you may know that is, I don't know if it's still in existence, Planet Hollywood restaurant, bar and grill in Baltimore. And they have a whole bunch of props and stuff like that. When I went in, right in the center of the room, I had a table, and they had one of the original Proton packs from the movie behind plexiglass. Totally freaked out. I took a little camera and click, 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 and then it took about 1,000 pictures. And that's before the digital cameras came out. And of course, having plexiglass there, it reflected all the flash, and I couldn't see anything. Mm-hmm. But it was enough. I got a good eye when determining something. I said, that looks like, 2 inches, 3 inches. And I took a lot of sketches. Some photos came out. And I some of the photos were actually on the GB homepage, and that was the final process of my drawings that came out, and in June in 2001. So now Home Depot. At first, I had to go out and look for parts, pieces, anything that would look. Home Depot, or Lowe's, there's a lot of plastic tubings and all sorts of devices that could be utilized for the pack. And now, my plans does show parts that looks very similar to what they use in the original proton packs, the hero props. But I'm happy with what I have, and Home Depot still have most of the parts there. Even the goggles, there was from a welding goggles, and they're sort of an off green, and I have plans for that people could use and make their own goggles. But again, Hasbro and all those companies came out. My goodness. Can't think of the store that were selling the props. I picked up a...
Oh, Spirit Halloween was
Is it
selling
Spirit?
a lot of them.
I don't know if it was the Target. And all of a sudden, someone
Target
called
had
me.
a... Yeah.
I can't. I don't recall the name, but I picked up a very nice ghost wrap and a PKE meter. There was the only one on the shelf. So I fought a little kid, pushed him down. He cried. No, I didn't. But I grabbed the last one and I ran out of there like a kid. I was all happy, so that's the one I have. I was lazy. I could have built one myself, but it's just, look, it's nice. And I put a couple of magnets on the bottom. I just slap it on my backpack, and I'm happy with that. So
It's pretty lightweight too.
oh yeah, the plastic ones. But my backpack, I keep adding stuff to it, and it's starting to get heavy. Like Venkman from Ghostbusters 2, he threw that on, and he almost like fell on his knees. But
they only get heavier when you start getting into the really high accuracy builds with fiberglass shells and metal parts and metal throwers. They get crazy heavy.
But it's all about fun, having fun.
Absolutely.
It is. So you developed your plans, you released them, and what was the reception? Like, what was the community reception to you releasing your first set of plans?
People liked them, but they were a bit scared of it. I think somebody did a AutoCAD or a CAD version of my plans, with very highly intricate, very professional looking, and that scared me. But a lot of people, and I think that's what took place during that time. He goes, "Norm, I love your plans, but I want you to build one for me." He goes, "Oh, wow." And at that time, I just moved into a house. I had a huge basement. So I said, "Oh, now I got a workshop." So, and then I would say almost like every month, he goes, "Norm, can you build me a pack?" So I decided to throw, at that time, I had a tiny little prop building, I don't know if they say business, and I called it Facade FX. And I released the plans.
I remember that.
I'm sorry?
I remember that.
Wow.
Yep.
And I had the types of props that were selling with lights, without lights, and it took me a long time. I had to build that from scratch using the for sale signs from the Home Depot, the styrene plastic. Then they were thick. Now they're all flimsy and this ridiculous. And So, and I had like at least once a month, maybe every other month, someone say, "Hey, Norm, build me one. Can you build me one?" I have people from Alaska. I've got this guy from Hawaii. I can't think of his name. He's very popular up there. I built one for him. Can't think of his name, and I have to apologize. Netherlands, Germany, France, and all over the world. I don't know if I answered your question, but I was building them, and I had a full time job, and at night I would go to the basement. In the weekend, I was like slapping stuff. I was pouring resin molds, resin parts, and which was not a very smart thing to do without wearing a proper mask. So, but I did have a fan. I turned the fan on, and I'm still alive today, so that's a good thing. But I was like making parts, and then cutting and having the plans in front of me, and I still have to look at my plans. I don't remember half of the stuff I put on there. But most of the parts is still available at Home Depot. And my pack now, there was oh my goodness, I forgot the AJ something or another. There was like a fabric hobby shop that closed down locally here. AJ something. But they were going out of business, and they were selling these little LED lights, AA battery powered, for tiny little Christmas trees or plants and whatever you want to use it. And I grabbed a few, and that's actually what's lighting my cyclotron and power pack. So, Dan, you were mentioning about photos. Can I send you a video as well? That could be
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll show a short video of my current backpack. So, and I got sort of tired of it. Was taking too much out of my personal life, and I would say my last pack I would probably build in 2012, and all of a sudden now everybody was, "Hey, I got a fiberglass version of it for sale, and I've got this and I got that." Hasbro came out with theirs, so it's okay. Now everybody's have their own version of it, so they're. I enjoyed building them for folks, but now I need to. Well, I've got so many other projects. I am a paranormal investigator, by the way, in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's we're not here to talk about that. So, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you've definitely answered
Okay.
them. I'm trying to think. So okay, so you had mentioned the onset of a lot more fabricators coming in and doing the work. And one of the things I love about your plans is that they are approachable. They're very, very animated. But they still have all the details that you need in there to complete something that looks and feels and is a proton pack. So but your plans seem to come from a place that's a lot more fun and lighthearted. Not quite as super detail intricate and oriented, which is great, especially for somebody who's just getting into the hobby. So as the hobby evolved, and as more people came in and discovered more details, what were your thoughts on that? Like, how do you feel now about the people that are going out there with digital calipers and measuring the ribs and stuff on proton packs?
I mean, I am pleased that folks are using. Well, for me, it's much bigger than I am, and when I see gatherings, everyone in different cities, they all have gatherings of Ghostbusters and ghost heads getting together and doing, and I haven't done that. And my friend Egon, he lives in Michigan right now, and we still go back and forth. He goes, "Oh yeah, they just added this to the backpack," and I still want to get with him. And then, oh man, this just at the time we we had an old beat up station wagon, white, and we made it look like a ectomobile. And we were doing the parades within Washington, D.C. But I missed being with a whole bunch of ghost heads and talking props and just enjoying that. I miss that. And, being a family man, I have a daughter in college. So time, money, and, have to take care of my family as well. So I miss ghost head gatherings. Now, since I'm get to know you better, both of you, maybe. Now, I assume Austin is within the Washington, D.C. area, Maryland?
No, I'm actually in Oklahoma.
Ooh, okay. Well, Dan, maybe next time you have a gathering, I don't know, a mini convention, or maybe you just give me a call. I'll go down there and we're all going to grab a brewski and a thick steak and talk about the Ghostbusters Afterlife.
There you go. See, Austin? I kept telling you, Austin, you got to move to Virginia, but you wanted to stay in Oklahoma. Now I'm going to go and have a steak.
Yeah, but now there's a new movie set here, so I'm so torn now.
And filmed in Canada.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Shut up. That doesn't count.
I can't even come and see you and visit a filming location because you're in Oklahoma.
Yes.
Hey, we have cool bridges, and we don't have any real mountains, but whatever.
So Dan,
no, I'll have to come out and visit you guys sometime and hang out.
That'll be cool. So Dan, do you have? I haven't fully explored your Facebook or webpage. Do you have an ectomobile in your group?
We do, yeah. So we have buddy of mine, very good friend of mine, Jeremy West, owns a 1967 Cadillac end loader that has actually been kind of revolving around in the Ghostbusters community for some time. I know apparently it started its life up in, I believe, Pennsylvania when it was first converted, and we ended up buying it when it was in Georgia. And Jeremy's he's poured a ton of, TLC into that car, mostly under the hood. A lot of times people will ask me, oh, well, why don't you want to, buy a hearse? And I'll I understand the responsibilities that come with those vehicles, and it's a huge monetary investment just to keep those things running. But he's able to do it, and I'm able to live vicariously through him. And, one of the things I love, because I'm one of those accuracy nuts. I want everything to be exactly how it is on the screen. But even though it's not a 1959, you can't help but just smile as big as humanly possible when you see that car, because it's just so much fun, and it ends up plucking all the right heartstrings. It's big, it's obnoxious, it's silly looking, it's bright, it's loud, it's everything you could want out of an ectomobile and more. And it's just it's a terrifying car to drive because it's a land yacht.
Gas guzzler.
But yeah, it's a gas guzzler. We're not sure. Gas gauge doesn't work, so we just fill it up every day. Before we take it out. We're still not entirely sure how much gas this thing is actually taking.
All the money poured into it. You'd think that'd be one of the first things you'd try and fix.
No, brakes, actually. Brakes were the first thing.
That's slightly more important, I guess.
That's great.
Generator turned it into an alternate. I mean, I warned him. It was right around the beginning of November of I think, beginning of November of 2020. And he's like, hey man, I really want to buy an Ecto. You're gonna come down with me to Georgia to look into this thing? I was like, listen man, that's great. I just need you to understand how much money you're getting into. Even if this thing is turnkey, it's a 1967. It's gonna break. It's gonna bust constantly. You will never get your money back out of this thing. And he goes, I'm all for it. And so we road tripped with our buddy Brian down to Georgia, and it was November 4th. I remember because the election was on TV when we checked into the hotel. And the next day we went and he bought himself an Ecto, and he was so happy about it, and he still is. But yes, so that is the long around my elbow to the answer version of yes. Our group does have an Ecto.
That's great. That's great. I'm looking forward to see it.
So what other props? You did the plans for the goggles, which I think still, as you know, if you can't get your hands on a 3D printer or whatever, if you're just looking for, I want something that looks like the Ecto goggles, your welding goggles. I don't know many builders that didn't start there with building your Ecto goggles from your Ecto goggle plans as their first dip into Ghostbusters props. Have there been any other Ghostbuster props that you've gotten a chance to build or create?
I would say now I did find, I would say back in 2002 or 2003, I found a shoe polisher. I think it's called Iona shoe polishing device. That's what they use for the the PKE meter. And I got it, and I said, you know what? I don't think I have the time to take it. Well, I took it apart and cleaned it up, but the gears and the intricate, and I'm not an electronic expert, so. And I talked to someone. He goes, "Let me tell you what. I have a shell from the shoe polisher, and if I give you that to trade, so I can utilize your vacuum form to do at least 10 cyclotrons for my little shop," and we traded. So he vacuum formed it, 10 shells to trade. So as Ghostbusters prop related, I did a lot of ghost traps as well. And the door, it wasn't electronic. The doors and the pedal did not work, but it just looked good as something to attach to your flight suit. But the reason why I enjoy doing props, now, not too many people know this. I'm also involved locally in film productions. I do a lot of props, sets, costumes, and even what I call acting, but a lot of stunt work. So I do build a lot of non-Ghostbusters props, but it's all most of the films I work in is science fiction, space, and we just had a couple of my friend who's a director and producer. He's working on a new film now that I'm going to be involved. I cannot give you too much detail, but that is a passion of mine. I love it. And gathering, someone sketch will say, "Okay, Norm, I want you to build this spacecraft full scale, and you have 3 months." So I said, "Whoa." And I love that. And I just go to Home Depot, grab a whole bunch of wood, and build something that looks exactly what the sketch. And I do a lot of research. This is within a cockpit of a stealth fighter. Of course, not the inside photographs are not available to most people, but you just grab something from F-16 or a Phantom drawings and cockpit, and you just throw a whole bunch of stuff together. And on film, people are too busy looking at the actor getting shot at or have steam come out, and they don't say, "Wait a minute, that dial is not correct. You got to move it 3 inches to the left." And I said, "What is this?" So that keeps me busy apart from my full-time job, and of course, once in a while, people call me to do literally a investigation into a potential occupied, paranormally speaking, house or haunt or something like that. So once in a while I go there, but I like to just stick to prop building and the like.
Very, very cool. Austin, I know you got more on you. I can't let you sit back on this one, man.
Well, I guess going back to, I guess, your original set of plans, I want to say they were what, dated 1996. I recall there being like a companion set of plans for a slime blower.
Oh wow!
Do you remember doing those at all?
I did. Those were very. They weren't very detailed. I just threw something together because, based on what I built in, and prior to the 1989 Ghostbusters 2, there was I think People magazine that showed, I don't know if it was Dan Aykroyd holding a slime blower.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a rear photograph of it. He goes, "Oh, look at this!" So we got excited. I said, "Okay, now we're gonna." I have a friend of mine who's gonna say, "Okay, he's gonna be taking care of the slime blower," and I built one quickly. What did I use?
I remember the gun suggested using one of those old Crayola crayon banks.
You're right.
For the gun.
I don't think they still exist, those things. Maybe online.
I bought one of those crayon banks because of your slime blower plans, and it sat in the corner of my room forever and ever and ever until finally we moved, and I was forced to throw it out.
Well, I remember I had one when I was a kid, and had, it long since destroyed it and stepped on the tube and kinked it up, and so it had gotten thrown away. And then I remember, when I got into this whole Ghostbusters prop mess and coming across those plans, and it suggested, Crayola bank. I remember going, no, I used to have one of those.
That's cool.
10 years later, I could have used the damn thing.
The two tanks, I think they're green, on the side of the larger slime holding device. I think we went out and purchased 4 1-liter Pepsi bottles. Mm-hmm. And at the time, they were 2-piece. They were the bottle, the cylinder, and at the bottom there was like a cap.
Yeah, the little black caps.
And we just popped that. It was held on by glue, the glue gun or something. And so, we got a tank. So I used 2 of those, cut the tips, put it together, and paint the whole thing green. I mean, we slapped that thing together we took like 2 days. And the middle gray tank, oh my goodness, it was at least 14 inches. I don't recall the diameter of the tank itself. And then, actually, it was a piece of plastic we folded into a cylinder, and then we needed something on top that was round, and we found an old cheap, it's like a beach ball, but it was a balloon type ball, the real cheap ones that you see at Toys R Us inside of those little bin or bundle or something with mesh. And I grabbed one of those and I forced it in, and I painted the whole thing in a gray primer, and then gave it some colors. But the drawing did not show all of the intricate details and parts on the bottom. I know there was like a little orange cylinder type thing, and then something that looked like an engine or motor from a moped or something. But we slapped everything together. But when we showed up at the premiere of Ghostbusters in Washington, D.C., people just like, oh, man, that's cool. They loved it. And most people never really seen the details of those props. They can't say, hey, wait a minute, now you're off by 1/4 of an inch, and this red knob's supposed to be green. And then, you don't have people like that there. So people enjoying it. People, and of course, we got to watch the film for free, and popcorn in a big container of soda. So that was fun. So the plans that you're referring to, it was a quick sketch, just showing the ghost heads. It's okay. That's what we use. This looks like this. You may try using this part, and it was slapped together. But I didn't totally focus on that. I was just ghost wrapped and proton packs. I was trying to release the drawings for the community. So people are happy. I'm happy.
Did you ever have plans to?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
I said, did you ever have plans to go back and maybe do more detailed versions of the slime blower plans like you did for your pack?
I don't think I have the time for that because I'm so at work. I usually work about 10 hours a day, and I come here and cook dinner for the family. And now I've got a movie project that they're going to hire me to do some set building props, and I'm probably going to get shot a few more times. I mean, all the movies I've done, I got killed at least 20 times. I got blown up in a nuclear blast, got shot in the head, my neck was broken, fell off a building. But of course, all of that is special effects. But in my latest film, I got chased by a huge creature that was all organic, made out of roots. And I got thrown down, and I did a flip. And my 60-year-old body heard some crack and crackled. And I said, you know what? I told the director, I don't think I can do stunts anymore. I can run, but no more jumping over cars. And so I think my body is. I have a young mind, but my body can't keep up with me anymore. So,
as long as you can still slap on a proton pack, I think we're good.
Yeah. I mean, it's still in good shape. So
it sounds like he's probably in better shape than you and I combined, Austin.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure I heard those similar body cracks, but that was just me walking up the stairs last night to get to bed.
That was me just bending over to put my socks on.
Oh, you got your socks on. You're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So when you're building, you're building your new pack and everything that you started last year. Are you noticing parts of your plans now that you're you're revising as you go, or doing something different, or using a different material, or
the only thing I mentioned earlier that the gum mount container don't exist anymore to do the handles. So about a year prior to that, I was building another pack, and I went into the Ghostbusters community, and I said, look, I can't find those containers. Do you have any grips pre-made? And someone said, oh yeah, I got some, I'll sell it to you. So I kind of cheated on there. But now, I mean, I was thinking of removing one of the grips and then use a wooden shotgun handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you've got to realize the community out there, we have so many different Ghostbusters team from different states, and everybody adds their own personal touch and a switch. I mean, I've got slime. I got a bottle of slime attached to the side, so that's my own version. I'm happy with it. Even with the Ghostbusters groups, they have their own logo patch. Even though there has a no ghost logo on there, you could see variations of design. People put their state on there, or they have a different color. So I don't bother to add or update those plans. I think they're good now, and they've got so many people out there selling the stickers, the foil stickers,
Mm-hmm.
and even the original pneumatic parts, and even the crank knobs. I think they're starting to get really rare, but they're still out there if they're willing to spend money on it. But there's so many different things you could use that looks so close to the original props that people are happy with it. I'm happy with what I have, and so no, I'm not gonna revise anymore. I think there are a lot of other people out there releasing their own versions of it, so I'm happy. They're happy. I'm a happy person.
There you go. Are you still using hot glue on your packs?
You know what? A little bit, but
A little bit.
what I use is the product I call Goop,
Mm-hmm.
GOOP, and I must have bought a case of that stuff. I love it. Now I don't think they have different versions of it. They have Goop for wood, for plastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's another version that's called something 2000. It's the same thing. I could smell it, well, of course.
E6000.
Yeah, and I could, like I said, I should be using the proper mask, but I could smell the type of glue, and I know they have silicone and the type of adhesive I use, and I know it's good. I think Gorilla came out with their own version of a fixed substance that works really great. So what I use when I build my boxes out of styrene plastic, I still use the little wood blocks. I glue everything
Mm-hmm.
with the adhesive, and then I come back and I squirt some hot glue at the seam just to make it almost like a welding, if you will. And
Okay.
then it gets really hard, and then I glue everything, and then I add a little more hot glue. So I guess yes, I still use hot glue, adhesive, goop. That's pretty much it.
I think I think my first and second proton pack, I still remember looking at your plans and being like, "No, hot glue's not gonna do it." I used liquid nails, like 5 tubes of liquid nails to put everything together with absolutely no forethought. So, like, once everything was built and put together, you could never open it up again. So I was never able to put any electronics or anything like
Oh,
that. And they're still holding together to this day,
that's great.
just as strong as the first day because they're being held together with liquid nails.
Construction adhesive.
Now you got to keep in
Yes.
mind that the glue sticks. There are different types of glue sticks for different projects, and there is the clear one. I think people, fabric shops, or even people who design flowers, silk flowers. It's very delicate, low heat, and it holds enough for their projects, but not enough for wood or plastic. So there's wood versions and there's a heavy duty versions out there also. So it all depends what are you building. You've got to use the right glue sticks. Um,
I remember my first pack that I built was using your plans, and my dad and I had started attempting to build one with sheet styrene, and we got the EDA box and the crank generator and the gun mount built, or he did rather. I just sat there and watched, and then we got to the point where it came time to build the Synchronos generator, and having a real tough time with that, and we kind of set it off to the side because couldn't get it figured out. And I eventually said, "Well, I'm going to do it myself," and I built it out of foam core.
ooh,
And the whole thing was foam core and hot glue. And like Dan, I didn't have the forethought to leave the back sides open to be able to access later for electronics and things like that. And I still have parts of that pack laying around somewhere. In fact, speaking of the gum out bottles, I know just recently I found one of those original front handles for that foam core proton wand that I built, and it still has the gum out bottles on it.
Wow.
So I need to hold on to that for sure.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we've talked about this, Austin. I still have cake pans in a storage bin somewhere for,
Oh yeah,
once upon a time proton packs that were going to be, and coming from that time in which, hey man, are you done with that Pringles can?
Mhm.
Or trying to go through your parents' or grandparents' medicine cabinet looking to find all the film canisters you could, because there was so many parts.
Oh yeah.
That used the film canisters on it. It was great. I love being able to go and find all the minutia and the detail, but there was something just simple, lighthearted fun about just like, here it is. This is what works. This is great. And going and putting that together. I mean, as we've been talking, I've been going back and looking at your final draft of plans there, Norm, and it's floods me back with memories. Just all the website addresses and stuff that you put in there is like, hey, go to gbfans.topcities, to
Yeah.
reference before AJ had his own hosting, or you want parts, go to danawheels.com, and it was just it's a great trip down memory lane, and it's still so creative and still relevant, especially for all these people now that are getting into it. I always still really firmly believe that your plans are the one of the best first stops for somebody to be like, hey, I want to get into Ghostbusters prop building.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. That I appreciate that. You mentioned the cake pan, the cyclotron that goes on top of the synchronous generator. I found that if you go to Michael's, it's a hobby shop, flower shop, all sorts of things for. It's kind of leaning towards women stuff for them to create. I noticed that the cake pan, they're still there. I think they're a 12-inch. That's the cyclotron. And then I found another cake pan underneath is for wedding cakes that fits perfectly for the bottom part. So now you don't have to do all this. I think I use little wooden rings and then plastic.
Yeah.
That was a little heavy duty, but it worked at the time. But now you can use two cake pans, a larger one, a smaller one, aluminum. Of course, you need to cut through the aluminum, which is tough to cut the 4 holes for the lights to shine. So.
Sure.
I remember when my dad and I were working on that part, using a hole saw to try and cut them out, and it was just terrifying to sit there and it would slip a little bit.
Oh yeah.
And it took forever to get the holes started. And once we got them cut out, they were great. But then you had that incredibly razor sharp edge.
Oh
yeah, I cut myself.
Well, now and
I'm like a 11-year-old, 12-year-old with this cake pan trying. I'm surprised I didn't cut my finger off.
Squirting blood on the walls. Son, what are you doing?
I mean, I still remember how many times I would slip doing that. I think I went through like 1 or 2 cake pans just trying to do it. The first one would slip, so your hole's completely off, and you get to your next one, and you get 3 holes in there, but by the time you're done with the 4th one, you're pressing so hard, the entire structural integrity of the cake pan is gone.
Yeah.
It just crumbles on itself.
I
think nowadays I'd go at it with a step bit.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing about the cyclotron, after you cut, even though the hole is really bad looking, you put those washers on top of it. It hides all the mistakes.
Hides all oh man, it doesn't matter what level of detail of proton pack you're building. You're going to be hiding mistakes someplace.
Oh yeah.
There's so many crimes to hide.
Okay. So, you got a little quiet.
I can hear Austin over there. So I can. So the whole joke last time, Norm, was I felt like I was bogarting the conversation from Austin. We had Jordan Johansson on last time, and he's really, really awesome. And he and I are both similar in which we just love to hear ourselves talk. And Austin has always been, he has his really big flourishing moments, but he's always been my kind of quieter, hey, the moment's right now, I'm going to be really super funny kind of buddy. And so I told him, I was like, no, man, I need you to run. I want you to push this because he was basically completely absent from our last podcast. So these long silences is me trying to be like, Austin, ask more.
Well,
I know you're excited.
well, and the thing is, I had a bunch of notes written down, and that's what I'm going through. But we've already unprompted already gotten into it, and it's like, oh, okay. Well, I don't need to ask that question now. It's already been answered.
And me, I don't come with notes. I do all my searching on the fly. I think about it for a week, and then I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, this is going to be fun.
My memory's not that good. I got to write stuff down.
Well, no, I can remember this so that everything's important. Bills being paid, stuff like that is not taken care of because I'm too busy thinking about proton packs.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the new movie, Norm? I mean, you were part of the community at late 90s. That was when the hubbub was coming about that, Ghostbusters 3 starts filming this spring. Dan Aykroyd every other month, announcing Ben Stiller and Will Smith and everything like that. So finally, Ghostbusters 3 happened. Do you think it's going to show is it going to inject new lifeblood into the community? Is it going to bring about another renaissance in Ghostbusters for more prop builders to come into the hobby?
I think so. I mean, we got a lot of younger viewers that really enjoyed the film. I mean, the film was wonderful. It finally came out. I know the COVID-19 thing kind of kept the thing astray, I guess. But being thinking I'm a tough guy sitting in a theater, and at the end I was like, oh god, hey, I'm not crying. I was cutting onions here. Come on, kid, what are you looking at? Face the front. But it was wonderful to see what they did with Harold Ramis. Well, I should say Egon. That was wonderful. He was just sitting there, semi-transparent, looking over at the guys, but he didn't say a word. He just smiled. He didn't need to talk. It's almost like they were communicating telepathically or something. But that was a wonderful scene. So, and they opened themselves up for hopefully they're going to have more films. I don't know. I think I would love to see a series, but again, I don't know. They may mess things up with that. So, what do you think?
Sure.
Should they have a series of Ghostbusters, or?
I mean, that's such a loaded question. There's so many stories to tell in the Ghostbusters universe that it almost seems like a series would be appropriate. But with television also comes jumping the shark, and I would always be terrified that the show would jump the shark far too early. Or, when you have a television show, one of the things about Ghostbusters is the gear. Then you have serialized stuff. You have a larger opportunity to come up with something that's just kind of, silly, But another movie, I would definitely be down for that.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the franchise lends itself well to being serialized. I mean, the real Ghostbusters, I don't think anybody's going to argue, is not a great show. The opportunity to tell interesting and unique stories on a weekly basis, a Monster of the Week kind of thing, is something I'm very much into. But like you said, you do run the risk of jumping the shark or trying to do too much, I think. Like, when you're in the confines of a movie, you've got 2 hours to tell a story, and you've got all this time to refine and make sure that story is great. With TV, I think you could get lazy. You could rely too much on retreading the same concepts, and like I said, Monster of the Week or Ghost of the Week is great, but you've got to keep doing something new with it. Yeah, and I think it runs the risk of becoming almost stale too quickly if you're not really trying to, I don't want to say reinvent the wheel, but refreshing the wheel, you know?
Yeah. I'm thinking
Well, guys,
I'm thinking like the new Star Trek films reintroducing
mhm.
the um, Captain Kirk, Spock, but using younger actors. Maybe just this just popped in my mind, and we're not talking about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but having actors that look like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and the whole crew in retrospect, going back to after 1984, maybe after they got their license to practice ghost hunting in after 1989 film, and have a younger, well, have them, the same characters, different actors, play the role through maybe another. They could probably have another, I don't know, mini series of have them going around chasing ghosts within the New York suburbs. But and that just popped in my
Or
mind, so it'll be kind of pretty cool.
they have that cut little line from Ghostbusters Afterlife when Paul Rudd's character is showing the kids the YouTube videos of the Ghostbusters thing, and he actually says to them, "Come on, guys, they made a movie about this in the '90s." And like, oh man, that means there's a movie about the Ghostbusters in the Ghostbusters universe. I'm like, can we get that made? What was what was that? Can I get a '90s quality biopic of the Ghostbusters, please?
Maybe that's where you bring in Ben Stiller and Chris Rock, you know, to come in and
Yes.
be, you know, Peter and Winston, or you know, whatever in the Ghostbusters universe version of whatever that movie is. That would be some fun. That would be some fun meta stuff.
That would
if they
be
if they pulled
that'd
something
be
like
way
that.
way meta, but it would be great. Well, listen, guys. So we are at the end of our time here, coming up just on an hour and a half. Before we go, Norm, were there any final thoughts you wanted to leave us with, or anything like that?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you both for having me. Spill my guts, and I'm I'm honored to be in the show, and looking forward to meet you guys in person. Well, at least Dan. I don't know if Austin
Absolutely.
can make it, but take a look at.
Oh, Austin travels. Austin
I
travels.
travel.
Okay,
He does.
and meet your team. I know Ghostbusters Virginia went through a different teams, but check out your ectomobile, and maybe
Yeah.
this spring, I don't know, get together, and like I said before, have a steak, a couple of cold ones, and
Yeah,
then exchange ideas and go from there. So thank you.
that would be super awesome. No, thank you so much, Norm. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's so cool to have somebody of your caliber within the community to kind of come on and just kind of walk through history with us. And you know, I know for so many people, like, or for the community in general, those plans you released are like revolutionary, and
They were the first thing that you ever saw. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so many of us wouldn't be here if it weren't for those plans. You know, for better or for worse, I guess, but. I mean, it's an honor to have you on the show. We really appreciate you coming on. So thank
Guys,
you very much.
thank you. And like everything I did is for the community, and it belongs to the community. So I'm just a guy stepping back and let everything flows through. And like I said, I'll be looking forward to see you, Dan, and Austin maybe in the near future. Maybe the next
Absolutely.
movie.
Really awesome. There we
Full
go.
costume.
We'll,
Yeah,
we'll
you
make
never
it
know.
happen. We will make it happen.
We'll show up
All
in
right,
St.
guys.
Elmo's Fire too.
The fieriest.
There you go.
That's St. Elmo's Fire. There's a Sesame joke in there, but Sesame Street joke, but we're out of time for that. So this is Dan Harshman for the Black Firehouse podcast, as always, with my partner in crime,
Austin Young.
Make sure you check us out on our RSS feed on Spotify every Tuesday, and of course posted to YouTube every Friday. Thank you all so much for listening, and go out and build something.
As a duly designated representative of the city, I order you to cease any and all supernatural activity and return forthwith to your place of origin or to the nearest convenient parallel dimension.
Okay, so I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.
Everything was fine with our system until the power grid was shut off by Dickless here.
2 in the box!
Ready to go. We be fast and they be slow.
Ray has gone bye-bye, you guys. What have you done?
For whatever reasons, Ray, call it fate, call it luck, call it karma. I believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that we were destined to get thrown out of this dome. For what purpose? To go into business for ourselves.
Boy, the superintendent's gonna be pissed.
We're ready to believe you.